In the last video, you learned how to set up a Google form so that it could run the SuperQuiz add-on. And so that's where this video is going to pick up. I've already completed the answer key, and so you can see there's one response in here that has the answer key in it already. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to the spreadsheet view of the responses. And you can see here that I have just one tab at the bottom, and I have my answer key in row 2. To run the SuperQuiz add-on, I of course have to go up to my add-ons area. I already have it listed in my queue. Once you've added the SuperQuiz add-on, it will always show up in your spreadsheet views. If you haven't yet downloaded it, you can go to Get Add-ons and search for SuperQuiz. Since I've already done that process, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the Get Started button. And then I need to say, all right, yes, I want to get started. And then what's so great about this is it gives you a setup checklist that walks you through step by step to make sure that you have everything set up appropriately. So I want to make sure that my responses are on a tab that's labeled Form Responses 1, check. I want to make sure that my correct answers are in row 2, check. I want to go through and I want to make sure that my columns read as follows: timestamp, email, name, teacher, and it does. So all I need to do is scroll down here. It says make sure there's no blank columns. And all you have to do is look for the Create Tabs blue button. Now, if you run this after you have collected a lot of responses from students, it will take a very long time to run, because what this is doing now is it's going to be creating, and you'll see it pop up on the bottom of the screen here, many tabs. It's like Tabapalooza. All of these different tabs are reading off of this first page, and they work to create really amazing ways that you can look at your data. What I usually do is I actually run this right after I put the key in, so that all of the tabs are up and running, so that as students start to put in answers, there will automatically be updated. So if I click on the blue Next key, it's going to walk me through what all of the different tabs are to help me get any information that I want. But I'm actually going to exit out of that so I can see this as a wider screen. I went in and completed the form again as student A, who has answered every single question wrong. But before we get into that student's results, I want to actually direct you to the 4th tab in, which is the Auto Feedback Configuration tab. This is the only tab that you really need to spend some time in as a teacher to help give your students some very specific, very awesome feedback that it works out for you. It can be a little overwhelming because there's a lot of color coding and you can only see parts of the information at once. So I've actually made a map of the whole tab zoomed out so that you can see everything at once. This is the structure and order that I would go through in setting up, because I would want to take care of the easy things first. First, I would go in and I would change the name of the quiz at the very top. Now, as you can see right here, it says that you cannot edit anything in the gold, so you will leave all of that alone. All of the rest of it is things that you can customize to make it fit your assessment. So instead of it saying an arithmetic test for step 1, you could change it to say space test. Then I would jump down and make sure that my grading chart is set up the way that I wanted it to be. If anything I wanted to change in there, I would go ahead and do that. I would then jump over to the proficiency language box on the other left side to make sure that it was set up to mirror what my school's language is in relationship to standards-based grading. So maybe I would change the 100% to mastery or proficiency instead of is excellent. Then I would start to get into the meat of my assessment. And so this is where I would go back to the work that I would have done in advance of going through and aligning what questions I'm asking with the standards or I can statements. And so in step 4, I would go in these purple boxes and I would actually change them from the template of a math assessment to what those standards are that I was working with. So since this question was all about space, I would change question 1 to be about the planet size. and I would write the number of questions in the green box. As I'm working on this, I would actually probably work on 4 and 5 at the same time. If I had students that did not understand planet size, I would figure out what sort of feedback or redirection I would give them that I would want them to work on to help them to understand that topic in the specific feedback area. And then I would probably go back to topic 2, or I might even jump across here to the last area, which is a follow-up question that you could give the students to help them show me as the next step in all of this that they could do and work on this topic and that they have an understanding of this topic. I might even change that from a question to an outline of a project or an assignment. What this program does is it reads the students' responses and it only gives the proficiency to it only gives the feedback to students who have not shown proficiency. So if students missed all of the questions related to topic 1, then they would get the specific feedback for topic 1 and the follow-up question. All students receive an extension question, so that would be kind of an area for students who are at proficiency or at mastery level with this formative assessment check of what project they can be working on in the next phase or level. So one last recommendation that I would give you as you are working on setting up your auto feedback configuration tab is maybe what I would do is use this template as a setup to help me in designing my assessment. And so then all I would have to do, since I've already thought all of this out, is copy and paste it into the SuperQuiz tab so that it runs and automatically sets up the response feedback for the students, which is the next tab that it goes through here. The last thing that you have to do as a teacher to help give your students feedback is focusing on the document and email configuration tab. When you go to this tab and scroll over to the right, you will see a Create Docs and Emails button. What this button is going to do is it's actually going to create a trigger to start to create a Google document that will automatically put all of the information in that you have set up on the Auto Feedback Configuration tab. At this point, you can decide whether or not you want to include or exclude the solutions. And you'll see here how this is popping up a link to a Google Doc file. It automatically creates a folder in your Google Drive where all of these documents will live. And the students will get dinged an email right away. You also get sent an email of the Google Doc file as well. And if I click on this, we can see what student A's document actually looks like. You can see that they got an F, that they were not secure on any of the areas, so they got that feedback. And they also got the redirects of the extension activities that I want them to work on, as well as assignments for them to help guide them in their learning to help start to show proficiency. Now, I also have in here the solutions, so this is what this looks like here at the bottom. You could decide that you don't want to include that, and if you made that decision, they would not see that box at the bottom. So those are the basics of what SuperQuiz can give you. In the next video, I'm going to go through more in depth what the different tabs are and how you can use them. So if you're interested in that, check it out.